Well, good afternoon. It's a lovely bright day here, but it's still cool, in fact nearly cold out. And when my friend Martin was here the other week, I showed him my steam engine my model steam engine I made. And it's just recently suggested that I do a video telling you how I made it and give it a short run. And it will be a short one, I'll explain in a minute. Anyway, there is of course a full, very detailed playlist, but he missed it and probably you have too. So what I'm going to do, we'll get prepared and I'll show you it and tell you fairly briefly how I made it. Well, here's the machine. And so as I say, I'm just going to talk fairly briefly of how I made it. Now, oh, I'm blowing, I've just cooked them downstairs twice. What it is, you won't know the story, but I said I was going to build a model steam engine. And my friend said, oh, I didn't know how to lathe. I said, I haven't. He said, well, I didn't know you had a milling machine. I said, I haven't. He said, well, you can't bet one if you haven't got a lathe and milling machine. So I did. Now I made it all by hand. And we ran into a few problems. And I had to make one or two compromises. So I'll just try and zoom a little bit round it and show you how we made it all. What I did, I made a furnace out of a gas bottle by ordinary colour gas bottle by lining the inside with cement, and after an hour of firing at the charcoal and that and blowing air in, I got it hot enough to melt these drink cans, aluminium drink cans, and they're very low grade and most of it's wasted. So anyway, I managed to get enough ingots done. And the base of it had to be done in one go, right? And I only just managed to melt enough aluminium to do that ingot. And I think yes I did. I bought just a cheap baking tray. And I wanted to fill it, but I didn't, but I got enough to do it. The flywheel, again, it took an awful lot of making. And what I did, I got a big chunk. I got a tin can, that size. And I got a big chunk to do it, and I had to hacksaw it through by hand. I couldn't do it today. I can't do 5 minutes, can I? And that's basically how it was all done. And if you look at the cylinder, which again was a problematic piece of engineering, I managed to get the head on it all right, look, brass head. But as you can see, I actually cast that in a tin can, and you can actually see from the ribs and the can, that's how it was made. Well, I made the base come off, but I had a problem. I made the piston by hand by putting it on the table on the drill, you know, the bit you put the work on the drill, and putting a dial gauge on it. And I went round and round and round it by hand with the dial gauge on, and I got it within 3/10 of a thou. And the flywheel itself, now because it's very low grade aluminium, it's got hard and soft spots in, and I wanted my flywheel to run true, which if I just move that out a bit and just show you, you probably can or can't see, I don't know, but it does. It's not absolutely true, but I got it within 2 or 3 thou and 2 thous of width of a hair, so it's just about true, because all the little models I saw have flywheels and they wobble about like that. So I spent a long time on that, and because it's hard aluminium, there's hard and soft spots. I do have my belt sander, but you don't get it flat, because what happens is you put it on the belt dead flat, but there's a hard bit there, so when you take it off you find it takes more off the soft part than the hard part. So what I did in the end was take that 1 or 2 thou undersize there, if that's a hard spot, and then put it on the belt sander, and I mic'd it up until I got it just about true. The other problem I had was fastening the piston in, and in the end I actually had to, I had a piece on here but it didn't work, so I modified it, and I actually had to weld that to that, right? So you can take it off, there's a cap there, you can take off the end, but it's actually in, and it wasn't meant to run forever. So I'm quite a lot of running, so we'll only give it a short run today. What else? Oh, another big problem, and it's still a slight problem. The eccentric, right, this, to work the spool valve. And as you can see, that has to go all the way round. So of course it's only joined by a screw there, but this side I couldn't do that. So I had to pin it there, and I used some super glue, I think it was, and I got it to work. But as I say, that's its Achilles heel for one thing. The other thing is, as I say, the piston, that's another Achilles heel it's got, because it's not going to last forever. And it's the spool valve I made, and I got that right with the greatest of difficulty, because how it works, I've got one pipe going into the cylinder, so that's exhaust and inlet, and what happens is the steam comes in this pipe there, which has got slightly loose look, you see, so it'll leak a bit, but that's what you get. The steam comes in there, the spool valve opens this pipe to this one, right, and sends steam into the cylinder, which then pushes the piston like that. Then it closes off the steam port and it opens up the exhaust port, and I had a big problem, because what you've got on that, on the spool valve, you've got a slot, and I had big issues getting it timed to run. I really did. And if, as I say, if you go back and look at the playlist, you'll see. Everything else worked out fairly well. As I say, I did it all by hand, and it took me a long time. I definitely could not do it today. Definitely couldn't. But there's a nice little brass connecting rod on there, and I don't know if you can see in this light or not, but I put a pattern on it. And how you do that, you just put a piece of wood in a drill, bit of dowel stuck in a drill with a bit of emery glued to the bottom, and you just go over it like that. So that's how that was done. And like I said, everything, you know, it was rather difficult to do, but we did it. Right, so without more ado, I'll go down, and I've got a small fire extinguisher that I use as a boiler, but it has to be well, full of water, so at first water goes through it. And so I've got my stove here, which doesn't provide quite enough heat, and I've got a blowtorch as well, so we should get it running. Right, so when it's nearly ready, I'll bring you back. Well, we've got set up and running, so what I'll do, we'll cut to the chase, as it were. And I've got blow lamp, might speed the job up a bit. Remember in the olden days that you had to be at work quite a long while before you could do anything with steam engines. So what I'll do, I'll just now, the camera, there we are, it won't be too long now, put the camera so you can, look, it's starting to go. Right, it's moved it, see? And the first thing you have to do is actually warm it up. So water comes through first. So we warm it up with water. With the water and oil splashing all over, that doesn't matter. That's what it's all about. Now, like I said, because of the way I built it, it was... What I do now, to build a bit of steam pressure up, is just grip the pipe a little bit, get a tiny bit more pressure, not too much because that hose can blow off. Nearly. Build it up a little bit more. Only this is a frightening bit for me. Try again. Nearly. Let it build up a little bit more. Sometimes like I said, it was not meant to run forever, and there's water coming out, of course, because you've got to fill it up with water first. I'll wind that backwards. See, that valve is leaking very badly there, the spool valve, which I knew it would. I'll just try a bit more. I'm being very careful now because there's scalding hot steam comes out there and that flies off and it will scald me. Oh. I'll get it cleared out in a minute. Very nearly. Let's try and do it a little bit. Oh, hang on. Let's turn that out a minute. I know what's happened. This gas bottle in here gets cold and it turns the stove down. So we're nearly there. I'm making no excuses for showing you it start up. I'm really not. Because it actually shows how difficult it was. That stove's nearly died now. There we are. We're away. Just about away. There we are. It is going. There we are. I'll get my arm out of the way. And you can see it runs. And what's happened is, once again, that gas bottle in the stove has got cold. The propane bottle in the stove has got cold. It's not empty. And it's not letting the gas out. So now it is. I'll try again. See if we can boil it up. Now it's gone down again. I'm sorry, it's gone down again. Moving the heat. The stove keeps going out. But you've seen it run, you've seen it turn it. That's all that matters. Just not, I've not quite got enough heat in the stove and the propane lamp at the same time to get just enough steam for it to run. It'll turn it, look, but it just needs a little bit more. Just a bit more and we'll be there. I've got it warmed up now. And as you can see, the food turns, it's put a tiny bit more heat, which is fuel of course. But you've seen it turn, so that'll do. Right? That'll possibly be the last time I ever run it, you see. So, it does still work. As I say, I'm sorry it's a bit of a long video with not much happening, but I'll leave a link to the whole build and everything in the playlist, so if you do want to see it, plus I've got a video of it running me Meccano set, so I'll put that in the description for you. Thanks a lot.